Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Han Solo. I'm Captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Bond.
James Bond.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's Superman.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Say hello to my little friend.
Here's Johnny.
And here we go.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the 28th installment of Snack and Chat. I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful Friday in this quarantine madness. And as always, before we hop into the movie news, I gotta tell you guys what my snack of the day is. And today, I got me some Sour Patch Kids. That's right, we got some Sour Patch Kids. We got the normal ones. We don't have the watermelon ones today. But I mean, Sour Patch Kids are just the best in the business. Period. I mean, look, it doesn't get more colorful than that. It doesn't get more colorful than that. So yeah, cheers to a wonderful Friday filled with movie news. Alright, so now with all that done, let's hop into the movie news with our very first topic, which isn't really a news story, but something I'd like to talk about, and that is Cobra Kai. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, it's funny because I actually just watched the first Karate Kid movie about like a couple weeks to a month ago, so it's kind of ironic that I'm here talking about Cobra Kai now. But Cobra Kai, a show that's kind of a sequel show to the original Karate Kid movies, and it first premiered on YouTube Red or YouTube Premium or whatever YouTube's thing is called, and then it got transferred over to Netflix, I think about a month ago, and I was like, you know what? I've seen the first Karate Kid movie now. I've heard a lot of people talk about this show. I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. And a week later, I finished it. Now, it's definitely one that you can watch like that. Like you'd be done before you know it. I mean, each episode is like 30 minutes, 10 episodes, so it's like and then there's 2 seasons, so it's like 2 5-hour movies. But with that being said, you guys could probably already tell, sort of, but I had a great time with this show. Now, this is going to be a non-spoiler review, so I'm not going to reveal anything huge. I'm probably just going to talk about things that have been in trailers or marketing material. But kind of like what a lot of people have been saying, the creators did a really good job of really exploring the gray area of all the characters from the show, from obviously Johnny to Daniel to some of the new characters that come out in the show. I think the only exception to that, again, this has kind of been shown in marketing material, so this isn't really a big spoiler, but if you really don't want to know anything about this show, you probably just skip ahead. But to me, the only exception to that has probably been John Kreese, who had a fantastic introduction to this show. I mean, that introduction was great. But, I mean, he's just basically the Palpatine to Johnny's Darth Vader. He's just straight up dark side in this show, as he is in the original movie. Also, Paul Walter Hauser, who was in this show way more than I was expecting. He is absolute dynamite in here. He is hilarious and amazing. And I mean, with Richard Jewell to The Five Bloods, I mean, I also heard he was in I, Tonya, even though I haven't seen it, but I heard he was great. And then to Cobra Kai, I mean, this guy is wrecking shop right now. I mean, I'm a big fan of Paul Walter Hauser right now, but I mean, he was absolutely hilarious in Cobra Kai. Definitely one of the spotlights in the show. Now, there are cheesy moments in Cobra Kai, but they're really entertaining. They're fun to laugh at. But overall, I had an absolute blast with this show. I enjoyed all the characters. There's a big brawl in one of the seasons that to me is probably one of the most entertaining parts, if not the most entertaining part of the show. I mean, it's just great, absolutely great, and I'm sure if you guys have seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. Again, enjoyed all the characters. It's a quick and easy, fun watch on Netflix. Again, highly recommend it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing of what season 3 of Cobra Kai has to offer, and I believe it comes out next year or whatever, unless they delayed that too. But yeah, those are my quick thoughts of the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai. Absolute blast with it. Let's move on to the next topic, and that is Flashpoint. So during a panel, Flashpoint producer Barbara Muschietti talked a little bit about what to expect from this upcoming Flashpoint movie, and she said, quote, "Well, I want you to go see it, so I'm not going to tell you a lot. But what I will tell you is that it's a ride. It's going to be fun and exciting. There's a lot of DC characters in it. Flash is the superhero of this film because he is the bridge between all these characters and timelines. And in a way, it restarts everything and doesn't forget anything." End quote. Now, probably like I've said before, I don't know much about the Flashpoint story, so fair warning there. However, these are very interesting comments made here by Barbara Muschietti. First, she kind of said how there's going to be a lot of superheroes in this movie, but Flash is still, he's the main character. He's kind of the center point. He's still the hero, the superhero of the film, which again makes sense because it's a Flashpoint movie. And these superheroes that she's talking about could possibly only be in there for a few seconds in there. It could just be a quick cameo. Quick, get it. It could just be a quick cameo and then they're out of there, But then she goes on and says that in a way it restarts everything and doesn't forget anything. Now, does this mean that Flashpoint is going to restart the whole DCEU? I don't really think so. I can't imagine them basically restarting characters like Wonder Woman or Aquaman, who are pretty big money makers, by the way, for DC, if you guys didn't know. Not to mention, I think Wonder Woman 3 is probably going to come out a little bit after Flashpoint. But, maybe I could possibly see that happen with Batman, with the case that he's in right now. Possibly maybe even Superman. Who knows? He's just sitting there on the bench waiting for Coach to put him in. He's just sitting there all by himself. But maybe we can see it happen with those characters. But yeah, I don't think it's going to restart the whole entire universe. Again, maybe Batman, maybe Superman. We'll just have to wait and see once the movie comes out, because that is when we'll get our answers. So with that said, let's move on to the next topic, and that is Thor. That's right, folks, the God of Thunder. So in an interview with Polish magazine, Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, was asked the question if Thor was going to retire after Thor, Love, and Thunder. And he responded by saying, quote, "Are you crazy? I'm not going into any retirement, period. Thor is far too young for that. He's only 1,500 years old. It's definitely not a film that I say goodbye to this brand. At least, I hope so." End quote. And you know what? I think this is pretty great news. First of all, Thor is definitely one of the best characters right now in the MCU. Obviously. And someone's got to be there to teach Natalie Portman how to swing the hammer, you know what I mean? It's not going to take one movie to teach her how to do the hammer and the lightning strikes and all that, It's going to take more than that. So I think it makes sense for Thor to stick around. But in all seriousness, I'm glad to hear Chris Hemsworth would love to play the character of Thor for more movies, because I think he does a great job at it, and I think Thor is one of the best characters in the MCU, like I just said. And, just because he said that he wants to play Thor for forever, I guess, doesn't mean that Marvel wants to keep Thor, but, they probably will because it's Thor. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to hear that. Very different from, you look at Chris Evans, who probably wants to get a little bit further away from the MCU. Robert Downey Jr., who knows? But anyways, with that said, let's move on to another MCU property, and that is Ant-Man. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So it's been reported that King the Conqueror will be introduced in the MCU in the upcoming Ant-Man 3 movie. Peyton Reed also commented about the upcoming Ant-Man film, saying, quote, "We are working our way through the pandemic. There's some really, really, really exciting things in store, none of which I could speak to you about right now, as is the Marvel way. I think the third Ant-Man movie is going to be a much bigger, more sprawling than the first two. It's going to have a very different visual template." End quote. Now, like Flashpoint, I don't know much about King the Conqueror. However, I've heard that he's a pretty big villain in the Marvel universe, and it's pretty interesting hearing that a big villain like King is going to be introduced in Ant-Man, which have kind of been these simple, lighthearted movies. They're basically like palate cleansers after a big Avengers movie. But with Peyton Reed's comments, it seems like a big villain like King the Conqueror could fit into that big and sprawling Ant-Man 3 he's talking about. So it's going to be pretty intriguing and seeing the Ant-Man franchise kind of take that extra step and in Peyton Reed's words, become bigger and more sprawling. So with that said, let's move on to the next and final topic, and that is Black Widow and Soul. That's right, Black Widow and Soul. So it was reported that Marvel's Black Widow, which is supposed to come out on November 6th of this very year, will most likely delay. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, another delay. In the same report from Variety, they talked about how Disney is also considering of putting Pixar's Soul on Disney Plus, which a Disney insider apparently disputed that is in fact not true. So you have that in there as well. So to start off with kind of the Black Widow thing, I think Disney's probably been observing Tenet's performance at the box office, which we actually talked about last week on the last Snack and Chat episode, so make sure you go and check that out. But I'm sure they've been observing Tenet's box office performance, and they probably thought to themselves, well, by the looks of how Tenet is doing at the box office, I think we should probably delay Black Widow because it'd probably do better. Or be more successful if we wait a little longer for theaters to open up and more people become more comfortable to go back to the movies, which is probably the smarter decision. I mean, it would suck for movie theaters because that means there would be even fewer new movies to come out. But with Soul, I mean, with Soul dropping on Disney Plus, which is again it's only a rumor. I mean, you even had a Disney insider person say that that's in fact not true. So you do have that as well. But let's say if it is to drop on Disney Plus, I mean, you guys know me. I'd rather watch a movie like Soul in theaters than at home. I mean, I'd want to watch almost every movie in theaters than at home. I mean, the only reason I could probably see Soul dropping on Disney Plus is if it sucks, which is pretty rare for Pixar, and Pixar movies usually do pretty well for themselves at the box office. I mean, it kind of stinks because Disney Plus lately has kind of been like the dumping ground for movies that Disney isn't really confident in. I mean, if you look at Artemis Fowl, which was not good, and then you look at Mulan, which, yes, well, I had actually kind of enjoyed it to myself. I had a good time with it. Most of the audience did not. Most of the audience wasn't really a big fan of Mulan. So it's kind of been like this dumping ground for movies that Disney isn't really confident in. I mean, unless Disney thinks Soul is really good and drops it on Disney Plus, then they think, oh, the buzz is probably going to spread and travel around and draw in more subscribers. That could also be another way of thinking. But, I mean, Disney Plus lately has just, again, been like that dumping ground for movies that Disney Plus just isn't confident in. I mean, again, with Mulan, with the audience not really enjoying it that much, it probably would have led to not a very good box office, probably. And then, again, you have Artemis Fowl. But, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with these movies. I mean, I could see Black Widow delaying, Soul going on Disney Plus. I don't know yet, but definitely your thoughts of what you think about this story down in the comment section below. But not only that, but all the rest of the stories that I ran down through today on this installment of Snack and Chat. And that kind of wraps it up today for the movie news on today's episode of Snack and Chat. And this weekend we got a pretty good amount of entertainment, I'd say. We got obviously a new episode of The Boys, which I'll probably check out. Again, Cobra Kai if you haven't seen it. Absolute blast with that show. There's a new documentary called, I don't know, something about social media that I hear is great. Definitely check that one out. You also have Antebellum, which actually came out this week and not last weekend, so I was wrong about that. So I might check that one out too. But yeah, we got just fine amount of entertainment, I guess, and catch up on some stuff you haven't watched. Anyways, so with that said, thank you for joining me on this installment of Snack and Chat. Hope all of you guys had an absolute blast watching. Oh, and also there's that new Tom Holland movie on Netflix, The Devil at a Time, or Devil of the Time, or whatever it's called. That's another one I'll probably check out. But anyways, thank you for joining me on this episode of Snack and Chat. Hope all of you guys had a good time watching. You could also follow me at The Kid Critic on Instagram. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, because that is very important. And as always in every single video, look out for the next video or review. And peace.